Thank you everyone for joining Grace training today. And it's titled How to Run a Successful and Profitable Rabbit Business in 2024. I think one of our speakers once said that we need to break this whole cartel of beef in Nigeria and know that you can eat that type of meat. And one of them is rabbits. Our speaker today will be giving us a lot of insights about this. But before that, let me speak a little bit about Agri and what we do. Agri is an agri-media agency where we create content around agriculture, farming, food, and any other agri-related category, either livestock or cultivation. And we organize trainings, we organize tours, we also set up channel for farmers to meet with other buyers. Our aim is to increase the number of farmers across Africa, and our slogan is say yes to agriculture. Today we have with us our speaker, Emmanuel Pamgian. Apologies, we are supposed to have a different speaker, but this is a senior practitioner in the rabbit business. He's very experienced and have done so many trainings in agri. He has his farm and he is a CEO of Rabbit City. He will be presenting. I want you to you can send messages in the chat. You can drop questions in the chat as he's presenting, but we'll take all the questions at the end of his presentation. I would call on our speaker now, Emmanuel Pamgian, to take the session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Timothy. I hope I'm audible enough. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you clearly.
Yes. Okay. So permit me not to do a video lookout now. Maybe after the class, I'll now bring up my face so that we don't have some distractions.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So I'm trying to see the slide, the notes. Okay. Thank you.
I bring it up for you. Okay, good.
Yes. So you would. The introduction is there. My name is Emmanuel Pamgian, CEO Rabbit City Jos. We're going to talk about rabbitry today. So I'm trying to move to the next slide. Or you help me do that, Mr. Timothy? Yes. So why do you want to keep rabbits? That's the first question I always ask participants. What is the reason for your keeping rabbits? I just want 3 people to give me an answer. Just 3. Anybody? Just feel free. Anybody can just tell me why you want to keep rabbits.
For meat production and sale of rabbit feed.
Okay, beautiful. Any other person?
They are fascinating pets.
Pets, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other one?
For profit making.
For profit making. Okay, that's nice. So all you have said today, they are all valid. They are valid reasons why you should keep rabbits. But there's an angle where we usually look at it for participants so that you don't dive into something that tomorrow you start regretting, why did I do this? Or you're expecting this and then why is it not happening? So let's see the next slide and then I'll explain further. Now, great entrepreneurs, they usually don't think of profit immediately. What they think about is the impact. This rabbitry I'm going to keep, what impact does it have on the immediate society? Now, great entrepreneurs always think in this insight. Whatever business I'm going to do, is it going to solve a problem, a big problem, or a small problem? That is the thinking. They don't usually go into the business in terms of money. No. Usually, they think of a problem to solve first. Now, once you have that kind of entrepreneurship thought, that I'm doing this to make a change in society in terms of innovation, in terms of demand. That way, you'll be on track. Most people lose it in business when they go into business with the idea of solely making money. We usually look at those kind of entrepreneurs as just market roadside entrepreneurs. But great entrepreneurs don't think in that side. Their thought is, I am doing this to solve a problem. That way, the money chases you, not that you chase the money. Because you're solving a problem, let me give you an insight. Now, if you go to a doctor in the hospital, you're not feeling too well. The first thing there is he wants to solve your problem. Yes, they're talking about consultation fee, but he doesn't get that money till he solves your problem. He being on the other side of the desk to solve your problem is what makes the money to chase him. Am I clear? So next slide. Let's go to the next slide. Now, great entrepreneurs, they create jobs, they're innovative, they create change, they give to society, and they add to national income. That's how great agripreneurs think. Next slide. Now, usually I tell my students, before you go into rabbitry, you must be a PDP member. Now, they usually laugh. PDP or APC, or they always ask that question. Now, the PDP here I'm talking about is a slogan, which you will now see in the next slide. You must be passionate. Now, I'm leaving rabbitry by the side. Now, I want you to understand something. In any business you're going to go in, whether rabbitry, fishery, any agricultural business, any business, you must be passionate. Then you must be determined. And then you must be patient. You cannot, for the rabbitry now, there's a time when they have to get pregnant. They have to kindle. We'll get to the terminologies. That's giving birth. You have to wait, which is the patience. You have to feed them. You have to take care of them. That is where the passion comes in, and then the determination. You are saying you want to go into rabbitry, and they tell you, okay, pick the rabbit up. And then sometimes you go and then you hear some people say, ilk, for the ladies, ilk. How would you now say you're passionate about an animal when you can't even pick it up? So these are the three things you have to have in order for you to succeed in any business. So let's move forward. Now, again, once you're a PDP member, you're passionate, you're determined. Whatever business you're going to do, using the rabbitry, for example, you're using it to fill up a societal gap. And what is that gap? We're talking about our protein index. The protein index in Nigeria, according to statistics of FAO, we're actually really, really backward. People are hungry. In fact, they termed us as malnourished in terms of the protein index because we don't have much of the protein on the index table, on the what do I call it? Protein index. So that's a gap for us to fill using the rabbitry. The rabbitry is a sector that people are beginning to know it. Unlike the other days, in the olden days, people used to keep it at a very minimal level. I know my own dad told me my grandfather used to have it in the house, but in minimal. But as a hunter, when you bring home a rabbit, the head is always tied to the barn. Those years, I don't know what they used to get from that, but to them, according to my own father, he said it's a way of showing greatness for hunters. So, but back to our own time, we are trying to fill up a gap, a societal gap, which is the protein index. So let's go forward. Now, those societal gaps we're talking about, I mentioned it earlier. There's the issue of food security. Our FAO standard is 44.4 grams per capita per day, which is very, very poor. When you look at also there's protein deficiency. That one I also mentioned it. We have disease-related issues, those with hypertension, those with diabetes and obesity, which usually some of them are from excess consumption of red meat. So those are issues. We're looking at extinction, which is one that one of my students came, and the person was particular about that he doesn't want the rabbits to go extinct. In fact, the way he said it, I looked at him and I didn't see it in that angle. But when he brought it up, I said, no, this is a point I have to put in my notes. So you may actually just be passionate to say, no, I don't want these things to go extinct. So you keep them just for that reason. And then the issues of unemployment, which is a big issue in Nigeria, is a gap to fill. By the time you now are a rabbit breeder, you can also employ. And then the issues of low capital per day is also an issue that we need to put up, we need to fix. And the organic shelves, we're going to get to that. That is also a very big issue. We have empty organic shelves in Nigeria, a lot of it. When you go to most of our shopping malls, you go to the grocery section, you see that most of the groceries that are there, in a very short while, they start going bad. And those grocery shops end up losing. So the organic shelves are actually empty, where those things actually have a good lifespan to stay. So that is also another gap we need to fill. Now, these are problems we have identified. And then the soil degradation is another problem. So these items I've just listed out are problems that we need to solve. As an entrepreneur, when you're looking at all these things and you're saying, okay, let me see how, if you're going into rabbitry just because you want to start growing organic plants using the manure, you're solving a problem. That way, money chases you. So having identified these problems, let's go forward and see what to do. I may not go deep into the history of rabbitry, but rabbits have been kept for a long time. If you read through the notes, you would see how the trend has been moving over time. Rabbitry is now becoming a known sector for a lot of countries. China, it used to be Australia, then China picked up. Now China is ahead. The number of rabbits now you see where China produces is quite much. All these ones are just history on how the rabbit trend has been. Italy was ahead one time, then France. Even till today, the conference for rabbit breeders is held in France every year. So these are just it's just a history for you to know that yes, rabbitry has been there for a long time for developed countries. We are just knowing about it. So let's move. So there's a lot of potential in rabbitry. Is a sector that I'll tell you yes. When you go into it, you'll be shocked to discover that actually this place has a lot of problems that we need to actually solve. Now, it will fascinate you to, when you go through the FAO chart, you would see they're saying in terms of protein index and in terms of consumption for meat, rabbits have been pegged the best meat known for man in terms of health. because of the protein content, because of the fat content. We'll get to that. But it will surprise you to see on the chart that the highest in terms of consumption is turkey. And I believe it's because of the turkey festival in Europe and all that. Turkey is the first, followed by chicken, followed by pork, then beef, because pork is higher than beef. Then down the trend of all the different kinds of meat, you'll be surprised that rabbit is the second to the last. The last is duck. And why is that so? It's a big problem that we need to look at. Why is that so? I will mention it so that I don't forget it. Now, what is making the rabbitry to be second to the last is availability. And then you cannot propagate rabbits like the way you propagate chicken or fish. Rabbits are such that you have to do that waiting. They have a number of the Kindle size, the liter size is between 2 to 3 down to 10. If your breeds are so exotic, you may get up to 13, but we don't even fancy that because the breasts are both. Sorry about that. So what I'm saying is the nipples are 8. So by the time you're having 13, some of the rabbits will be malnourished. So we always prefer maybe a size of maybe 10, but there's a technique you can always use, which is called the fostering. You can always foster so that you reduce the number. Let's say if you have a rabbit that kindles a litter size of 5 and you have that has 10, you can pick maybe 3 and add to the next mother. There's a technique which I'll tell you later. So let's move forward so that we don't take time here. So yes, these are rabbit terminologies. I'm sure you must have heard me saying some. The male is called a buck. The female is called a doe. These are terminologies you need to learn. You need to be familiar with them. Because when you meet a professional rabbit breeder and he's making a request towards you, he will talk in terminologies. You also have to learn the terminology. I know that one way you can always beat your customers is when you show professionalism. You know you're speaking in a language that the person will look at you like, wow, this guy knows he's a guru. You know, most people that are professionals in their fields, that's what they use to beat you down. So you need to learn the terminologies. So we have the litters or kittens, which are the young ones. We have winners, which are those ones you pulled from the mother in 6 to 8 weeks, but we prefer 8 weeks. That's when you separate the kids from the mother. We have growers, which are between 3 to 4 months. Servicing is the act of mating. So we don't go and say, okay, then the kindling is the act of giving birth. I know one other woman that called me. I told her to come for training. She said no, she knows about rabbits. Only for her to call me and tell me, my rabbit don't born. She born, and then when she said it, she born more than 12 children. It sounded so funny to me. And I'm like, you can't go out to people, we're talking about rabbit, then you're talking in that way. So you need to learn this thing. So act of giving birth is kindling. Then the building, the whole building where it has different cages is called the hutch. Then the rooms are called cages. Palpation is the act of trying to check to detect pregnancy. We have the hay, which is the dry grass. The legumes of roughages, which is these are the dry grasses. You can have granite humps, cowpeas, and then some other leaves that you later identify as those things that rabbits consume. So let's move forward. Now the advantages. Rabbits have small body size. Unlike if you're going to keep a cow behind your house, you can't keep, depends on the space you have. You may keep maybe just 1 or 2. You can't keep plenty. But with rabbits,
think,
they're small, luminous. You actually keep.
yes, sir, we are with you now. You went off for about
Yes.
2 seconds. Yeah.
Okay, no, it's a call that came in.
Okay,
So
that's
sorry about that. My Saturdays are always like that. So one of the advantages is they have small body size. The meat has good protein. It's an advantage. Feeding them also is very, very cheap compared to other animals. And they're very good converters. They help you to convert your kitchen waste to good manure. So that's another advantage they have. Rabbits also, they take they don't take too much of your income if you're keeping comparing to other ruminants and all that. I'm just trying to rush through so that we just finish up on time. Yeah. So in terms of medication, they don't really have much of that compared to other animals. They are actually convenient in terms of meal. You can actually have one rabbit per meal per house for a family, so it makes it very convenient. Unlike if you slaughter a cow or a pig, you have to get a refrigerator to keep the remaining meat in terms of consumption. So they're also very good in giving you NPK in terms of their feces, their droppings. The rabbit poo has a very high NPK compared to other animals. It's 4 times richer than that of cow in NPK, cow dung. It's twice richer than that of chicken in NPK, and as well as the urine also. So that is an advantage that you can actually pick again in terms of rabbits. Then handling them is also not as difficult as other animals. We always try to compare. It's quite easy to handle them, especially even if you're a beginner. Once you know the intricacies of how to keep rabbits and what they need, you won't have much of trouble. So let's move forward. Now, of course, for every advantage, there's always a disadvantage. Now, you heard my dog barking, though I don't keep where I stay. My rabbit farm is not in my house. It's located in another different place. So rabbits actually are vulnerable to prey in terms of dogs, wild cats, and the others. So your hutches have to be very good and strong, the materials you use, because one of the disadvantages you get because you're domesticating them, you always have issues with prey trying to penetrate. So it's also a challenge. Then in terms of production, yes, it is not easy to say that you can actually sometimes you may have, and then it takes a lot of skill for you to know what to do so that you don't have losses like that. And then rabbits, of course, don't condone carelessness. They are actually very clean animals. They don't like dirt, so their housing has to be always clean. Yeah, so let's proceed. Now, there are different types of rabbits. There are about 60 different types of rabbits that you can actually domesticate. The clip here is not so clear, but we have identified those ones that are very good for meat production. The California, the Hyla, the New Zealand, the Chukar Giants, the American Standard, the Sable. These are breeds that you can actually keep that grow meat, the Chinchillas. So all these ones I've just mentioned are rabbits you need to get familiar with. You need to know what they look like, and then their body size, and then how they mature, the timing when they become meat. You need to know all those ones. But there are a lot of rabbit breeds. Some you can use them for pets, the Angoras, the English lobe.
I think he's getting another call.
A lot of people. No, I just ended the call.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sir.
So are you? Yes. So there are a lot of breeds that you can actually domesticate. But like I mentioned, once you look at the list there, you'll be able to see those ones we have mentioned. But let's go forward, then we'll talk more on those ones. So we're talking about rabbit management system now. We have the free range, which is the extensive. where you can actually keep them in a room or in a space and allow the rabbits to roam around. Then we have the semi-intensive and then the intensive. So let's look at that briefly. Just let's touch on that. So this is a picture of what the free range looks like. It's just, of course, you barricade, then the rabbits will just be free and then they'll be moving around. It's a system of keeping rabbits. Then let's move to the next one. Now this is a semi-intensive where you can also build. Now this is my own farm. This is my semi-intensive rabbit management system. So I had to barricade a little space, and then I kept them there so that they move freely and you can see them with their Kindle boxes and all that. So let's go forward. Now this is the intensive where you build hutches for them with cages. And if you look at this system, you see that there are pipes where you collect the urine and there are rubber zincs on top where you collect the manure easily. So this is another method of managing rabbits. Let's move. Now, rabbit nutrition. The first one there is water. Rabbits take a lot of water. And so we always tell our students, give rabbits water in libitum. Let them have enough water. And then in terms of protein, in terms of plants, there are plants you can actually identify that have good protein source, like the soya beans, granite palm, the kernel seeds, then the cotton seeds, and so many others. But once you're able to identify those things that actually give good protein, you try to see how you can process it and then grind it for them, and then you inculcate it inside their food. Then there are other animal sources of protein where you can get fish meal, oysters, snails, blood meal, meat meal, maggots. That's the new one that a lot of people are going into now to cut costs. So once you identify animal sources, you can also inculcate that into their own feed. Then the energy, we have the fat grains, maize, cereals, and all that. Those ones too, you get them, you grind them. So you can actually get a formula for yourself with this one, where you mix different food contents, and then you grind and then you give them. And then the fat content should be up to at least 20 to 25% of fats in their diet. The carbohydrate, which is the grains, which is also maize, also does that. Then the minerals, calcium, potassium, you identify those ones. Like the banana peels are very good for them. Once you dry them, you grind them, you inculcate it inside their food. It's also good for them. It helps with the potassium, phosphorus. Then you can actually get maybe those vitamins that are made that you can buy in vet vendors where they have vitamin A, D, and vitamin B, and also all those. So these are what you need for your rabbits to be healthy and they grow massive. Let's move forward. Feed and feeding. So rabbits don't eat on their own. They depend on you, the farmer. They also eat mostly on green vegetables. Though we always advise you shade dry them. You don't give them much of fresh vegetables. Shade dry it and then you give them. And then, of course, there are different stages of rabbits that require different rations. So winners, they have their own. Growers have their own. Adults have their own. But most farmers always try to cut costs. They just generally give one meal. And sometimes when you give a winner too much of fresh grass, it bloats it. Bloating is the swelling of the stomach. We'll get to that. And then these are classes of feeding. We have the concentrate, which is like chicken feed. Those are what we call concentrate. Then we have dry roughages, these are dry grasses. Then we have the succulent feeds, which is the fresh grass. You can give that constantly. Roughages, you can also manage it. And then the concentrate has to be every day. So that's what we mean by feeding and then feeding type, feeding management. Let's move forward. So these are the following skills that you can actually take when you're feeding rabbits. When you're changing feed, there's a technique. You don't just change feed abruptly, especially the concentrate. Today, you're using most of the farmers are using chicken feed now because we don't have vendors. I mean, feed mills that actually produce rabbit feed particularly. So you see, that is also a gap. If you're going into rabbitry and you're looking, okay, I want to start producing rabbit feed, it's a very, very good angle to look at in terms of business. You're trying to fill a gap. Most of the times, most of us are now flying to buy chicken feed, though they eat almost the same thing. That is what is available for us to use now. But I know of Bella, one time he started producing feed and people were buying. I don't know if he's still producing rabbit feed, but the guy was actually making his money. If you're going to withdraw feed too, there's a technique. You don't just withdraw it like that. You have to know the techniques of withdrawing the feed. And then there are feed restrictions where if you know that your rabbits are, let's say for the pregnant ones, you don't give them too much of the legumes. So there are restrictions you have to give for some rabbits in terms of body weight. Sometimes if you want to cross the females and they're too heavy, is a problem. And if the males are also too heavy, is a problem. They can break the back of the female. So sometimes you restrict the feed so that you manage their weight. So let's move. Now the reproduction in rabbits. These are how the organs look like for females because a lot of people have issues there. This is how the vulva looks like. When you pick it from the shoulder and you hold the bump with your right hand, you press down, this is what you see. That is the vagina for the females. So look at the picture very well and you get familiar with it, and probably when you start your own rabbitry, you will see what is very obvious in the adults. But when they are winners, you may find it a little bit difficult to notice that this is a female. But if you look carefully, you will see that you can see the vulva, it has a slit. Okay, let's move. Then that is the male. Obviously, when they're adults, you see the two testicles. It's obvious when you pick it, the two sags by the side. Then when you press down, you see the penis protruding outside. It's also very difficult in winners, but if you check carefully, you see that when you press, you see something like a boil pointing up. That is a male, but sometimes you have to be a bit careful so that you don't mix it up. But it's obvious in adults. So that's how the bulk organ looks like. Okay, let's move. Reproduction. These are signs you need to see if the rabbit is on heat, because they come on heat. You notice that the female frequently urinates, and there's that restlessness. She's always moving the cage around and then sometimes you see that during servicing, the rabbit stands still. She doesn't move anyhow. But sometimes when they're not on heat, you see them roaming around while the male is chasing them. But once they're on heat, sometimes they're always still, but not all the time anyway. And then they try to mount the male when they're on excessive heat. Those are the things. Once you put a male, you see the female climbing the male, you know that the heat is excessive. Then when you check the vulva, you see that it becomes red pinkish. Usually it is pink in color if you look at the picture. But once there's heat, you see that swelling, and then you see the vulva getting a little bit dark, and then pinkish, and then reddish at the same time. And then, like I said, you see it swollen, and then the grid formation around the vulva. When you look at it, you see it's swollen, and then it's like a round kind of shape. You know, instead of being straight, it now looks a little bit roundish. So those are the signs you see when a female is on heat. Let's move. Now for mating, when you're crossing rabbits, this is what you see. The male always mounts the female, and then once he ejaculates, it doesn't take time. Once she's on heat, if he ejaculates, he falls with his bum by the back, and then sometimes he falls by the side. And then sometimes they make one kind of sound. According to materials, they say they've not identified whether it's a sweet sound or a painful sound. But of course, for us humans, when we compare, of course, it's a sweet sound. So there's a noise they make when they ejaculate, but not all of them. So you see some of them, when they ejaculate, they close their eyes too. So those are the signs you see that mating has been successful. Okay, let's move. This is what we call the nesting box. Usually you put this 2 to 5 days before the date of kindling. Now, let me explain something. When you take the female to the male. You don't take the male to the female, because once you do that, the male is always, it wastes time trying to observe his new environment and all that. But when you take the female to him, he's already his room, he's his cage, he's familiar with it, and then the next thing he knows is a female, he tries to mount immediately. So you take the female to the male. Now, once mating occurs and you're sure you've seen that, if you know how to do palpating techniques, palpating is another lecture of its own, but you can actually check those on YouTube. You'll see how palpating is done. But palpating is usually done in the 12th day after mating. But once the kindle date, the gestation date is usually 30 days. Rabbits are prolific. It doesn't take time. So in the 27th day, you can have your bunnies. So 2 to 5 days before the date of kindling, let's say on the 20th, that's when you take the nesting box to the doe, because once mating occurs, you take the female back to her room so that the male doesn't disturb her, because she can actually abort. So what you do, you take the box into the room 2 to 5 days before time. Another sign you can see if she's trying to kindle, she starts pulling her fur into the nesting box, while some carelessly do it outside. So once you place the box, sometimes we use shredded paper or dry grass to put it as nesting. Then she will shred her body fur and then she kindles. What some females don't do that, some does don't do that. So you, the farmer, once you know that it's the time for kindling, you can actually pull out, or if you see that she has kindled and there's no fur, you can actually pull the fur from her breast area and to her thighs, because by that time it's already soft. And if you see that she has already kindled, you just pull out the fur to cover the kids so that they don't become cold. So that's what the nesting bedding does, the nesting box. So you can see this is a successful kindle. These ones are already a week old. You can see the dry grass there with her fur. Mother care. At that point, you don't do much. But when she kindles the first week, get a stick, open the fur to check and see if there's mortality. Because once you keep them together and then maybe one dies a day after, it may start getting rotten and then the maggots may affect the others. So get a stick, open the fur. You don't usually use your hand because it becomes a strange smell to the mother. So you get a stick. And even the kids, usually we always tell farmers, don't pick directly with your hand when she kindles outside. You can pull out the fur from her body, pick the rabbit with her fur, and then put it in the nesting box. Or you rub her body thoroughly with your hand, then you can now pick the rabbits with your hand. So please, that technique is very, very important. If you use your hand directly on the rabbit, sometimes maybe you're wearing a perfume. Once she perceives something odd she abandons the rabbit kids. So that's mother care. You don't do much because at that point, she will be breastfeeding. Good does always do that. They breastfeed their kids on their own. Sometimes you may not even see it physically. Yes. So let's move. Yeah, these are winners of about 8 weeks. This is what they look like. So let's move. Now, these are outdoor hutches. This is what we build in my own company. This is our own design, where we have a cage of 20, 10 in the front, 10 at the back. While we have a cage of 10, where you have 5 down, 5 up, with the urine collectors and all that. So these are outdoor cages. This is what they look like. Okay, let's move. Then these are indoor cages. You can see there's a difference. That one has a roof outside. The one inside doesn't have a roof. There are those ones that are made of metal, which I don't do for a lot of reasons, rust and all that. I prefer wood. So these are indoor cages. Let's move. Now, this is how the feeders are. If you use a container, rabbits are very, very inquisitive and destructive. If you use rubber containers, they eat it, they scatter it. So we have identified the concrete feeders. Rabbits cannot push them because they're a little bit heavy. They can't break them anyhow. And if you look at the head, it's only the rabbit head that goes into the feeder because they like to scatter things. They like to scratch. So with this, their hands don't go inside the bowl. It's just the head that goes inside. Then we have the automatic nipple drinkers where they drink water. If you look at the cage, the hutch I built, you would see how the piping is, how they take their water. Then we have the hay rack where you put your hay inside so they don't scatter the hay around and then defecate on it and then still consume it. That also brings diseases. So these are rabbit accessories. Yes. Now, diseases. Now, there are signs you always see to see that a rabbit is not feeling too well. Number one, the normal way it eats and drinks, you will notice it reduces. Of course. So when you want to know a healthy rabbit, you would see that it drinks good water and it eats very well. And then there's this soft self-groaning you always see when the rabbit is healthy. It has this kind of nice groaning sound. Then they're always curious. You see them moving up and down, jumping. There's that alertness. You always see that in healthy rabbits. These are signs you always see. The skin. Are you with me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you now.
Yes,
Yes.
we're here.
Then when you have a thermometer, you can always check, because we always advise that you examine your rabbits almost like on a daily basis. So once you check the vulva, you put the thermometer, you see the temperature. That's the temperature you should get between 37 to 39 degrees centigrade. That's the normal body temperature. And then there's that silent breath also, which they have. You can always count it per minute. The number is there, 40 to 65. You can always do that by checking the pulse. Then their eyes are always clear without any discharge of water and all that. The nose is always also clear without discharge. The feces are always normal in terms of pellets. But by the time you see the feces watery, littering everywhere, you know that something is wrong with that rabbit. And then you see them gaining weight. It's a technique you have to learn. You have to get a scale, a weighing scale on your farm, so that from time to time, always weigh your rabbits. You can do it monthly so that you see whether the rabbit is growing or not. So these are signs you need to see to know that your rabbit is healthy. Let's go. Now, the diseases. One of the biggest diseases that actually hits us on the farm is the coccidiosis. Where I work is a research institute in VOM. They're trying to see how to look at the proper medication for rabbit coccidiosis. There are different types. So, but for now, we are using the chicken anti-cox. Usually we give it intentionally and deliberately monthly to prevent them from having this coccidiosis disease, because once it sets in, rabbit doesn't eat, and it's something that it affects the liver. You don't see it from inside. You only see the rabbit emaciating, it's not eating and all that. So that's one of the diseases that hits us. Then the next one, let's see, which is the mange, is another terrible disease. Once it comes, the rabbit just starts defurring. Their mites. They usually just eat the fur, and then, in fact, sometimes you even see the rabbit as if it's naked for severe mange, but it's treatable. So that's how the mange looks like. So anytime you're going to buy your rabbits, once you see the signs, you know that it's mange. Then we have the ear cranker. That one too, it affects you. See a lump, like if you can see in the picture, you see one kind of lump in the ear. That's what we call the ear crank. So what you do is you can vacate it, use a glove, vacate it. If you want to treat it locally, use palm oil. But if sometimes when it's severe, you have to get antibiotics for animals. So that you need the attention of your vet. Let's move forward. So the marketing now, that's where the matter is now for a lot of people. Now, what do you do in rabbitry to make money? Usually we always put that at the end. What do you sell in rabbitry to get money? You can sell the breeding stock, you can sell meat rabbits. They don't say rabbit meat, it's meat rabbit. You can sell rabbit manure, you can sell the urine, you can sell the rabbit pelts, which is the skin, the hide and skin. Now, just day before yesterday, we were selling manure for 14,000 per 100 kg of a bag. It's raining season now, people are in farming. So you can imagine if you have 100 bags, how much would you make from that? So these are the products that you have that you can sell in Rabbitry. So let's move forward. Now, these are projections that I did some years back, but all these prices have changed. I had to just quickly do this so that we don't waste time. But we're going to review these prices. Prices have changed now. Winners are now 3.5, the minimum. Growers are between 6.5 down to 8,000, depending on the breed and the purity. Adults are now from 10,000 to 15, and it depends on your location. So these are prices you need to check and find out other farmers around you, how much they sell. But the projection here is this, that if you want to go commercial, the minimum number of those you're supposed to keep is 20, but you can keep 10 for students if you're not buoyant enough. But we're saying that if you have 20 does, in 3 months after setup, you have adults already. In 3 months, if you take an average of 5 from each mother, because some will give you 7, some 9, some 10, some 3, some 2. So, but averagely, with considering mortality, if you're able to get 5 bunnies from the 20, averagely, you should be having in 6 months. So, meaning you have to allow them to, let's say you start with growers. Of course, you have to allow them to grow to productivity at 5 months. Let's say you get growers at 3 months or 4 months. So by the 5th month, you start posting on the 6th month. So by the 6th month of your business, you should have from that 20, 100 bunnies. Then in 9 months, which is 3 months after that, you can also get 100 growers and then 100 adults. So by the time you look at the table and then you're using current prices, when you multiply it, you see what you get annually. So there's good money in the sale of rabbits, very good money in a year. So let's move. Then from the rabbit manure, 1 rabbit gives you 0.4 kg of manure per day. So if you have that number, 100 rabbits, you should be having 45 kg per day. And then if you have 45 kg, then these are old prices. But now, 25 kg is about 3.5. So 4 bags makes the 100. So by the time you multiply that, you should be having that 14,000 or so. So that's the projection from 1 day to a year. This is the number of kg you're going to get. In terms of quantity, you can actually get 16,425 kg of rabbit manure in a year. So by the time you sell that times 3.5, which is the number for 25 kg, not 500. 500 was during COVID. So this is an old document. I need to review all these things. So by the time you multiply that, you see how much you're making in a year just from the sale of manure, the rabbit manure. So let's move. So the urine also, that's the quantity you get, 36 per day from the 100 liters. And then for now, yes, I'm still selling at 100 because people are still not aware of the importance of using rabbit urine. It's actually used as pesticide and manure at the same time in your farm. So you have to mix with water to cool down the acid content. So you mix is ratio 1:2, but for urine that has stayed too long on the ground, you use 1:3, and then you spray as pesticide in the evening on your farm. Then if you want to use as urine, you use ratio 1:5. 1 of the urine, 5 of the water, you mix, you spray in your farm, foliar spray. So those are also the projections of what you get from the urine annually. Let's move. So value addition. Other things you can do with rabbits to get money. For me, I'm going to talk about what I do so that you learn. I grill the meat. Even today, I have about 3 or 4 supplies for grilled rabbit meat. You can also adopt the same. The grilled rabbit goes for 12,000 now here in Jos. So you can imagine how much you will make. Let's say people are ordering and then you sell the whole of the 100 you have. It's good money. Then I make rabbit suya. I was the one that started it in Jos in 2019. I said, okay, if we have the red meat suya, why not rabbit suya? And when I tried it, a lot of people loved it. And till today, people are still buying rabbit suya from me. Then I make rabbit shawarma from the rabbit meat. I make rabbit meat pie. People also order for that. Then the manure, that's one of the goals that we have. if you use the manure to grow your plants organically, you must not have a farmland to grow things. You can actually go on soilless culture, get containers in your compound, get good soil, use the manure, grow products that you know you can sell, like pepper, tomato, and all that things. Even your fruit, the manure is very, very good. It adds to the shelf life of your product. That is something I've been doing over the years, and I can actually testify to tell you this is what we're doing. I'm into greenhouses too. I can always share with you anytime you call me. I will share with you what we do, pictures and all that. It actually adds to the shelf life of products. And you can use the urine as pesticide. You can also use this pelts. If you turn it very well, you use it to make slippers, gloves, bags, bicycle seats, and other things. So one of the things I'll tell you, I'm still emphasizing, the rabbit manure is our newfound gold. Chemical fertilizer is not good for us. In fact, it's expensive. So by the time you're growing your rabbits just because of the manure, and then you're growing plants, you're getting money from your rabbits, you're getting money from your organic products. Organic training is a different thing on its own. That one is something we can do on another different day. So these are the things you can add value in terms of rabbits. Oh, my time is almost up. Okay. So there are different sources of income. Why I love rabbitry is because scholars will always tell you, you must have, especially in Nigeria, you must have multiple sources of income, even when you're working. Rabbit is one thing that will always give you that. A river dam is always there. Different channels of the water flows from different channels to the main bank. That is what rabbitry will give you. By the time you're able to tap from all these I've told you, your rabbit meat, your rabbit pelts, the urine, manure, you're selling all those ones, and then you're adding value also to the rabbits, which is the value addition we talked about. You're making suya, pizza, meat pie. Money comes from everywhere. You're solving a problem. People are always particular about their health these days. So with this, I think we have come to the end of our class. I would only advise, I think there's something at the next slide. Okay, thank you. But I always advise, once you're into rabbitry, register your business with CAC, get a bank account. That is a way of professionalism. It shows you're serious. If we're having a transaction with you, you always see my account, Rabbit City Global Ventures. Always do that. It makes you look serious. When you have clients, they always believe in you and all that. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, sir. It's been really interesting and really, really encouraging. I really want to make money from the manure right now. I think, and I think there's a lot in that. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Okay, now it's time for questions. I know we have so many questions, so you can just start asking your question now. You have the floor. You can just unmute and then you ask your question quickly. We have just about 10-15 minutes to take questions. Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Husseini Karim. Thank you very much, the speaker. We really appreciate your lectures. Sorry, my question is, can we get the slide after these classes?
Okay, let me just quickly answer.
Okay, yes, you can. We'll get. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yes, Mr. Timothy will do that. The slides are free. You can always get it.
Hello.
Thank you. We also have the. We also have the.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Morning,
We
sir.
also have the session recorded. Have the session recorded, so it will be on YouTube. You can just go back and watch it. I think a lot of people want to ask
Okay.
questions. Just raise your hand, then I'll call you to unmute to ask.
Can we
Okay.
get a social media handle also, maybe for mentorship and all that?
Okay. Sir, is that fine by you to share your contact details?
Yes, very well. You can. Let me mention something here. This is just on the surface discussion on rabbit breeding. We actually do our trainings online where you pay fees if you want to go in depth. Now, the reason for that is we always monitor. Once we train you online, there's a fee. Once we train you online, we will monitor you no matter what state you are. We will monitor you. Then once we get your location and we see that you're doing well, we open the doors for marketing for you. For example, if anybody calls me from Lagos I'm calling Rabbit City because I know you're into rabbit business and this and that, and you want breeds. Probably we have established to the extent that I have even sent you breeds, or I have sent you locations to get good breeds, and you're doing well. Anybody who calls us will always point our fingers to you. So we open the marketing window for you. That's one advantage you get. Consultation becomes free. Anytime you call us, we'll always attend to you because we know you're our student and we want you to grow. So we monitor you. So there are a lot of advantages when you go in on our online class because you will learn in depth. There's a WhatsApp group for our students where we also meet. If there's any information, we put it there. If there's any demand, we put it there. You, when you have anything, you also put it there and share. You meet other farmers too. So that's about that for training.
Wonderful. Great. Okay, so Akinwale hand is up. Akinwale, please you may unmute and ask your question. Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Akinwale is not clear. I'm not sure. Maybe you can drop your question in the chat because I think your mic is not clear. So may just quickly move on to the next person on the queue, Bukola Lads. Bukola Lads, you may go on with your question. Akinwale, please drop your question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
First of all, say thank you. You did well. I'm really glad I attended this. I have 3 questions, so I'll just throw in the 3 questions, then can answer it. So the first one is, I read an article. I've not started rabbit farming, but I intend starting. I read an article that says that when you are preparing a female for fertility, they shouldn't grow past a particular, they shouldn't accumulate too much fats. So how do we do that? That's the first question. How do we know when we're overfeeding them? Or is that article wrong? That's the first question. Then the second one is, must it be 3 months after we start this rabbit farming before we can start making profits, according to what Mr. Emmanuel said? Is that it? Then the third one is, where can we get these? Do you actually do this rabbit cage? Do you sell it? Where can we get it? Because I've seen some with the nipples, with the urine collector and all the rest. It's not every carpenter that knows how to do this. So do you do this and where can we get it? Those are my 3 questions. Thank you.
Okay, nice. Your questions are beautiful. The first one there, there's actually a minimum weight that your rabbit should be for the females before you start crossing them. Your rabbits should not be 3.7 kg when you're going to cross them. Those ones, we look at them as meat. But the rabbit from 2.3 kg down to 2.8 for the does, up to 3 kg, yes, those are the weights you can always cross your rabbits for the does. Now, there's what we call the flushing. Flushing means you watching what she eats. That's when, if you heard my lecture and I specified, I said the does, especially, there's what we call restriction, feed restriction. You restrict some certain feed so that you don't get them to be too fat. Maybe the protein or the energy and all that, you pull it out. By the time you're weighing your rabbit, that's why I said the scale is very, very important on your farm. When you weigh it and you see that she's overweight, you need to shred that weight. Meaning, if you're feeding her probably a certain quantity in the morning, you have to pull down that quantity. You restrict her from eating that quantity so that you don't make her to be too weighty. Now, the flushing, meaning you introduce things like vitamins from vet vendors, things that are the feeding too. If she's not eating very well, get those things, legumes that will make her eat very well to gain a particular weight. Because once a rabbit is anything 2.3 below, of course, one thing you know, when you cross her, rabbits are disinteresting. When she's pregnant and she's malnourished, she will swallow the pregnancy. For her to die and the kids to die, she would rather swallow the fetus to be healthy than to give birth to malnourished rabbits. Rabbits are that interesting. So she absorbs the pregnancy into her system. So that way, we always advise the weight should be at least 2.3, and then the flushing should be like a week. You make sure she eats very well for that 1 week before you now cross her. That's for the first question. The second one there is in terms of profit. Now, it depends on what you got to start with. Now, this business is not Bet Naija, where you want to make quick money. It's wrong. Be patient. I always advise start with growers, but if you can get your hands on early adults that are 5 months, you can also start with that. But it's called rearing, not a quick way of making money. Let the animal know you, because the rabbits are so interesting that even your skin, they can perceive the smell on your skin. They will know you. You'll be surprised that once they know you, when you're coming to them, some of them come in front of the cage to welcome you. They come to the front of the cage. Is another sign to even tell you something is wrong with this my rabbit, for him to sit down, knowing that fully well, anytime I come, he's used to me.
Okay, I think he's having a network challenge.
Not just keeping rabbits because you want to make money. No. So that 3 months you're talking about, yes, if you're able to get growers and you feed them properly to the 5th month, which probably if you get the 4 months or 3 months, in 2 months' time, they should be giving you bunnies. Remember, I said there's mother care. You're supposed to win them in 8 weeks, which is 2 months. So if you're keeping a rabbit for 1 month as rearing, then you cross it, it kindles. You have to wait for another 2 months for them to grow out, and then you win them. That's when you start selling. So that's what I mean by 3 months from when you bought them. If you bought adults and they're good, fine for you. In less than 3 months, you should be selling. Then the last one there for the cages, Lagos. I know I'm talking to people in Lagos. Lagos is far. We build at site. Coming to Lagos to come and build cages for you is quite expensive transport. But if you're burnt enough, we can come. But one thing we do, and I do it with most people that go through our training. Once we train you, we will give you the dimensions. You will bring us your carpenter. We will have an online discussion with him. Tell him what to do and how to go about it. We will teach him. So like,
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think those questions are answered. Next person here, I think
you build the cages for you.
you may
We will tell
drop
you the
your
material to
question.
use, the quantity.
Okay, you may go ahead, sir. Okay, I think he got disconnected there. Okay, I think the tutor got disconnected there. All right, he's back now. Yes, sir. I think you're back now.
His microphone is muted.
Okay. I think he got disconnected and rejoined.
So can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
Yes. So, Madam Kola, as I was saying, once you join our training class online, we will go in depth with you. We will now release all those informations to you in terms of cages. Okay? So I think, have I justified the 3 questions?
Yes, please. Thank you so much. I'm really happy. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. We have some questions here. I think somebody asked Tayo Agbola. Do you want to go next? Tayo Agbola.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes, I
Chris.
can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. I am happy to be part of this class. I can see that the training is more of like an introductory class.
Yes.
I'm also attending farmer presently in the process of I'm building my poultry presently. I want to go into livestock, goats, grass cutter, snail, and all that stuff. So rabbit is also something that I've always had in mind. With this class, I think I have like a directional path right now. But what I'm interested in as a livestock farmer, if you are not into feed production, you are practically kidding yourself. So I will want you to give me an information. Will what can you tell me more about feed formulation for these rabbits? I've also taken feed formulation classes on how to formulate your food for your chicken. I can see that they are very, very related to one another, but I'm more interested in ration amount you feed your rabbit based on age and weight. You said earlier that you supply breed, which is good. Another thing that I want information on is how you can control inbreeding amongst your rabbit colony. When you have a rabbit divided into colony, is there a particular formulation? I have an idea, but I want to know if there's a particular formulation, like a guideline that has been proven and tested that you adopt just to avoid inbreeding amongst rabbits, and then that feed formulation, inbreeding, and rationing. That's what I want you to just give me insight on.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tayo, I'm a businessman, so I'll be
Okay.
open with you. Yes.
Okay.
For feed formulation, Coca-Cola will not give you its formula. Thank you. You're laughing. So if you want a formula on feed formulation, that will give you on a different note. Different note meaning there's a figure to it.
Definitely.
Everybody has a formula. Like if you look at the chicken feed, there's top feed, there's vital feed, there's chukun, there's so many. They all have their formulas. They will never give you their formula. So the point here in terms of feed formulation, one, the easiest way for me and you to talk about feeding
I can't hear you.
from feed formulation is when you become my student proper. I will guide you. I have so. Tayo, are you with me?
Yes. So I think
It is coming on and off, but I
yeah,
know I
it's
can.
breaking.
Yeah, no,
I
calls have
think
been
I heard you
coming in.
say
I actually have a lot of people who I'm supposed to attend to this morning. So
Okay.
let me.
Because of time,
Yeah.
I think
So, Mr. Taiwo,
Mr. Emmanuel's contact
can
with
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. So for feed formulation, once you become my student and we have gone through the rabbit training, getting you a feed formula is not a problem. I work with animal scientists graduates who manage my farm. I also have an animal nutritionist who is a copper and he's now with me. Those are the guys I always work with. They can always get you a very beautiful formula to work with. But like I said, you must enroll for our own training, online training class. You'll get that. But for the ration, I can tell you that rationing for rabbits is very interesting. It's not like chicken. If you get, tin milk, the normal pig Hollandia, the small liquid milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is what a rabbit should eat per day in terms of concentrate. While you give him the dry grass and other fresh legumes, just you mix, there's a balance, there's a way you balance the diet. Like I said, once you go through our class, you learn all these things, the rationing.
I think he's disconnected again. Okay, sir. I think we got that. Let's quickly go through the remaining question because of time.
Them the hay and all that. But compared to other animals, chicken.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. So about
I think for this consent, yes, I'll get Mr. Tayo. Mr. Tayo, please, you can just send us the a WhatsApp message. All the links will be shared in the chat right now. So you just send the WhatsApp message so we can get your details across to Mr. Emmanuel today, and you would ask the questions about the consent rates. I'm sure you can work something out. I want to take the questions on the chat before we take the people on queue because we are really running out of time.
Yeah.
Somebody said, do you sell the rabbit cages? I believe you have answered that. That's Jackson Farm. He said, do you sell the rabbit cages? Yes. Please, if you want his details or any other thing, you can just drop our WhatsApp a message on our WhatsApp chat. The message is will be sent right now to the chat box, so you can just send a message and you will receive any other answer. Another question says, I'm a beneficiary to this referral. In fact, I supplied 4 rabbits to Rabbit City this morning. That's great. So it means Rabbit City have helped him make money from referrals. That's wonderful. Somebody asks, can we have a feed? Okay, he already asked a question. Another person, can we get the contact number? Yes, we would share his details to us before the end of this lecture. Another person, Samuel Utufu, he said, how do we prevent soldier ants from attacking our hutch? Mr. Emmanuel, I don't know if you can take that. How do we prevent soldier ants from attacking our hutch?
Now there are different methods to do that. If you want to go organic, I know that out of experience, when you get pig dung and you spread it around, they don't come near, it repels them. So when you do that, you can repel the soldier ants. Another method again is to get the chemicals, but not too much. But those ones, you have to probably vacate the cage, then you now fumigate, maybe using gamalin and all that. It's another method, but the rabbits have to be away from that cage. So those are the two methods I can tell you tentatively that I know that works in terms of soldier ant.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Another question here said is, how can I get the Flemish giant? How can I get the Flemish giant?
Now, Flemish giant, I don't think anybody has that in Nigeria that I've seen with my eye, but I know from the few I have called and spoken to that brought in Flemish, they didn't thrive here very well. So I don't know of anybody who has Flemish giant. I've only seen them in videos in Europe, but I've not seen them anywhere here in Nigeria yet.
Okay. Another question here says, can I get access to the video? Yes, the video will be on YouTube before Monday. We'll be able to have that. Okay, let's go back to the queue. We have Akinwale also again. Is your network good now, Akinwale? You may go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me better now, please?
Yes, we can hear you, Akinwale. It's better.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for all you've done. You've really done well. I just want to ask, is there any major benefits in going strictly organic with their treatment? Then, because I watched somewhere on YouTube where they said you can really just go strictly organic in rabbit farming. And I know by organic, you understand what I mean? Giving them, what's it called? Greens and the likes. For example, the guy said bitter leaf is like an antibiotics for them. Purple leaves is like a dewormer for them. Rather than using all the, all the normal foreign medication and all. So is there any major advantage that outweigh each other, or one can mix the two? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kimola, let me answer that. It's a very good question. See, most of our people, especially the rich ones, they don't want to die early because that money they have to spend. Good. So they are the ones that are very particular about, for you and me, the common man. We go chop within dinner. But
That's all.
going organic, yes, it is a very good method rather than going with chemical treatment like antibiotics.
Yeah.
It is very dangerous for your health, especially your kidneys and your livers. When somebody is treating an animal or a vegetable with any antibiotics and there's a wear of time, if that is not done, somebody can just sell meat to you in the name of yours to make money. And probably he has already injected that rabbit with either oxytetracycline or any other antibiotics. You eating that rabbit is even dangerous to you. That means you're not eating a healthy meat. And a lot of times it has happened to a lot of people. So, yes, there's a lot of benefit going organic. You need to identify those things. If you want to go organic, you need to identify those things that actually are organic treatments to rabbits. Yes, bitter leaf is one, purple leaf is another one. There's Tridax, there's what's the other one, sir? Okay, I call Tridax. In fact, guava leaf, so many. So once you're able to identify those things you give your rabbit, Moringa is there, it helps with immunity. Once you identify those things that actually keep the rabbit, in fact, those are preventive ways of the rabbit not even falling into some certain diseases. But the first thing there for you to know, even if you want to go organic, your cages, they must be well built. All feces must go down. You have to be cleaning the cages from time to time. You have to fumigate your cage from time to time. Once your rabbits are in healthy rooms, hardly would you have issues of diseases. Hardly. And then if you don't bring rabbits from outside carelessly, where somebody will tell you, I love this your rabbit, or the male is big, is very active. Can you cross it for me? You collect and cross. Not knowing probably she has mensch or she has any other disease. It's just like us human beings with HIV and the remaining. You don't go careless. So you always prevent you from having all those kind of drama. If anybody wants to cross a rabbit, let him get the breed from you. It's as simple as ABC. Going organic, I agree with it totally.
Thank you
So I
so
hope I've
much.
answered you. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
please. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think Deborah hand is up. Deborah, would you go next? Then Aguda will go next after Deborah. Deborah,
Good
are you
morning.
there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, sir. Firstly, I'd like to appreciate the very but I'd like to ask for the details of the rabbit training that Mr. Emmanuel has been speaking about. I'm assuming that will be posted on the chat as well, Abby.
Yes, I
Yes,
think
I
you
will
can
do
send
that.
the
I'll do
yes,
that.
you
Okay.
can also you can
Okay.
send
Thank
the
you so very
message to the WhatsApp
Okay.
link there, and then we'll share all
Okay.
his contact and all the details you may need will be shared
Okay.
also.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. And then, Mr. Emmanuel, would it be possible for one to visit the farm? Hello.
Jamila, she said, can she visit the farm? Can she visit
Yes.
your farm?
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Emmanuel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, she's asking if she can visit your farm. If she may visit your farm.
Where is she? Is she in Jos or my doors are open? It doesn't matter whether you have a lot of people travel to come, so you can always come. My doors are open.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Great.
Yes, and
Great.
besides, not only my door, but even the person who was supposed to be presenting this, Mr. Caleb Gochin, we work together very closely with him. So anytime you can come to me, you can go to him. Our doors are open.
Wonderful.
Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think Aguda is the next. Aguda, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. I just wanted to ask, how much is the training?
Okay. Aguda, I'll post it on the platform. so that everybody can see it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you
But
very
just to
much.
talk
Is there-
on the training, is online. It takes a week. Then we have 7 modules for you to digest. We send the module every day, per day. Once you digest it, ask us questions. Once we're done with a module, we don't send everything. Once we're okay with the first module, we now send the next one. But if you're a fast learner, we can send you 2 modules in a day. You digest, ask questions. Once we're done, we move to the next till we finish.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Is Tayo? I think Tayo's hand is up. Do you want to ask another question? Or is the previous one?
Hello, Mr. Manuel.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, well done. Sorry, quick one. Based on your personal experience, what breeds do you think are the best for meat production and pea, or what are the best breed that suits the Nigerian market in terms of rabbit rearing?
Okay, Mr. Tayo, right? Tayo.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned it, if you were listening to me, I mentioned it that there are those ones we have tagged and we know that they're very good meat rabbits. The New Zealand is one. The California is the next. Hyla is another one. The Jacket Giants are good breeds too. The Chinchillas, American Standard, Standard Chinchilla, Sable. I think those are the ones I can tell you, yes. I'm not mentioning Dutch Bells because they're not so big, but they're very rugged breeds. We call them, they're very potent, they're very rugged, just so to say. But they don't grow much of body size. But for me, what I do, because of the doggedness in the Dutch Belts, I usually cross them with New Zealand. So some of them come out with the body size of New Zealand, but you hardly would you see them falling sick or anything. So that one, those are farm crosses that I usually practice. So these are the breeds that, yes, I can tell you are very good meat rabbits.
And they
For
have
me,
good
I'm not
humility.
trying to discriminate anybody in rabbitry, but I'm telling you out of my own experience, I have done species breeding. Species breeding meaning you're maintaining crossing New Zealand and New Zealand, California and California, Chinchilla and Chinchilla, the same breed crossing. Yes, is a good practice for those who want to go into breeding and then selling breeding stock. But for me, who is particular about the end result, which is the meat, nobody will ask me whether the meat in the pot is a New Zealand or a Dutch Belt. So what I do is I do some farm crosses where I can cross a New Zealand with a California, a New Zealand with a Dutch Belt, a New Zealand with a Harlequin. What I try to do is those ones that have good meat body size, that in terms of bone to meat ratio, I try to cross them with those ones that don't have much of meat, like the chinchillas. New Zealand, California Highlands have very good meat to bone ratio. That means the meat on the body is more than the bone. While others, if you see like the brown chinchilla, most times you see that it's the pelt that is even more larger than the meat on it, and then the bone. So by the time you're crossing in New Zealand with it, and then your New Zealand has good body size, and then the potency in the New Zealand is strong, you'd see that the kids will come out more of New Zealand, but carrying the color of a chinchilla. That way, you will get good meat. But species breeding is very good. I'm not discriminating that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, sir. This has been really insightful. We have on the list, this is Agroye now. We organize different trainings. We had the last one, which is someone that specializes in grains, sales, sourcing, and supply. And he had the training. Today, we are doing on rabbits. Definitely next month, we'll have another expert come to talk to us in another area of agriculture. So please, you may fill out our feedback form. We've sent it on the chat now, the feedback form. Please just provide a feedback for us, maybe what other training you want us to do, and it will help us to make an informed decision on the next training we should do or how we performed in this training. Also, as I've mentioned, the details of our super trainer will be shared. Just send us a WhatsApp message, his details, his contact details. The training he does would also be shared. The details of the training he does will also be shared if you are interested to proceed. As he mentioned, he makes rabbit cages. If you can find a way of getting his cage, I think is really good because it helps you separate the urine from the feces and ensures the hygiene of the rabbit. You can send us a message for that. Is there any other comment or feedback from anyone before we close this session? The room is open. Any comment or feedback from anyone if you want to say something before we close? Or Mr. Emmanuel, any parting words? Okay, if there's none, we really appreciate Mr. Emmanuel.
Yes.
I
want to say thank you for this opportunity. Rabbitry, encourage. Oh, is somebody trying to say something?
No, you may. Okay, Taya is saying something.
Mr. Timothy.
Yes, hi Taya.
Yeah, well done. This I actually want to commend you, and I don't know where I will send the feedback. So I just quickly said I've sent a message to you right now, though. But I also want to commend you for this gathering, and I think we will also be interested in grass cutter too, if that is not too much to ask for.
Okay.
We will definitely keep your handle, and from time to time, Amber, I actually discovered you on TikTok.
Wow.
Now I'm following all your on social media. I like consulting firms like this. They say knowledge shared is not wasted. So grass cutting, though I know it's similar to rabbit rearing, but there are some things that are also different in it, because this is also something that I want to go into. But I've not been able to get my hands on people that are already in the business or in the trade. So if you can link us up like you've linked us with Mr. Emmanuel, I've already sent a message that I want to be part of this training class. Okay. So we will also appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We really appreciate. Mr. Emmanuel, you may go ahead.
Yeah, so like I was saying, this sector is a sector that is actually not doing well because of availability of farmers with interest. So I would also want to crave your indulgence to have more people on board. It's a sector we all have to grow together. Believe me, you'll be shocked the figures that will come out later when you're into full rabbit farming. This is a wonderful one. And then there's a saying, I was in one class, a leadership class. There's a saying, there's a write-up on it. They say your net worth is your network. No, your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. So it's something I want you to think about. Rabbitry is something that once you start, our communication doesn't finish. We'll always meet at one level or the other to either supply or to encourage. And that networking we're doing is what makes us wealthy. So I want to say thank you very much for this opportunity, and I wish everybody well.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you everyone for participating. We are grateful. See you in our next session. Also, you can follow us on all our social media platforms, and please fill in the feedback form so we get to know your feedback. Do have a very wonderful weekend. Bye.